Okay, so let's break this one down even further. What does our City News political specialist Cynthia Mulligan think of this all, listening in live as she does to all of the announcements and asking the very important questions? Cynthia, from what I gathered from a lot of it, there are a lot of question marks and there are a lot of gray areas. Good morning.
Good morning, Mel. Well, I would sum it up is there is a lot of confusion. And I have to say, even yesterday, I was getting really confused at exactly what this all meant. What is the difference between a curfew and what is the difference between a stay-at-home order? In some ways, it didn't feel like there was any difference at all until you start digging down deeper. But let's listen to the Premier one more time. He did nail one thing. People are sick and tired of COVID and they're getting angry. So listen in here.
I know everyone is sick of COVID, including myself. I know everyone wants to return to normal. New reports and data show 1/3 of Ontarians are not following public health guidelines. Many are traveling and gathering. Only one thing is truly at fault, and that's the virus. It just takes a moment. If you let your guard down, it can strike.
Okay, so he's blaming the virus for the spread and that 1/3 of people are not buying into the rules, Mel. But here's what I have a problem with. This massive confusion on this major announcement yesterday that we were going to fall off our chairs after we saw the modeling, which I'll get into in a moment because, yes, the numbers were very concerning.
Yes.
But what did it all mean? And it was really hard yesterday for me to get those answers. For example, I was asking, well, what does it mean can I go visit my mom? My mom lives alone in Mississauga, hasn't left her house in 10 months, and I'm worried about her. I live here in the East End. So can I get in my car and drive to see my mom and stand at the end of her driveway and just wave at her from her doorway or her window? And the answer was, well, yeah. And I said, but will police stop me? And the answer was maybe, because it's up to discretion of police on how they interpret these laws.
And that's a big problem, Sid. Huge.
That's a big problem, especially depending on what neighborhood you live in and the relationship that neighborhood has with police. And we saw the last time round with bylaw officers, some of them doing absurd ticketing, like absolutely absurd ticketing. I remember there was a man with his son who had autism and they're alone in an empty parking area and they got a ticket, right? So that leads to some problems. However, the province does say they can't direct police. So it's up to how police interpret these laws. Well, police stations are saying, I don't know how we're going to interpret them. We haven't seen them. The Solicitor General hasn't written anything out. We have no details yet on fines. We know they're promising hefty fines, possibly a year in jail if you don't follow them, but we still don't know what that means. Another thing that I was trying to get clarity on, because this is a hot button for many, is can you travel to a cottage if somebody has a secondary property? I got 5 different answers within 2 hours, from yes to no to only if it's an emergency. So the lack of messaging and clarity is a real issue here. Many people believe nothing's really changed, because what is the difference between a curfew and what is the difference between a stay-at-home? One person from the government was saying, well, stay-at-home is actually harder because they want you inside your house all the time, whereas as in a curfew like Quebec, you can be out during the day but not after 8 p.m. Well, okay, but you know, you can still go skating, you can still go cross-country skiing, horseback riding, cycling. So you're allowed to be out to do those things. And yes, exercise is important, but you can still go get your coffee and you can still do curbside pickup. So what's actually changed from the day before?
Not a whole lot.
I honestly don't know.
So you're told to stay at home, but you're allowed to leave your home, right?
Yes, because things are open for you to go see and do.
Sin, I want to get your take on the number 5, because a lot of people are saying, okay, I don't get this part. So you're allowed an outdoor gathering of 5 people. Can these 5 people be from different households?
Well, yes. Outside, technically, yes. Now, they're also now encouraging you to wear masks if you cannot social distance from people. So before you had outdoor gatherings, you could have 10 people in your backyard, maybe around, you know, one of those propane fire pits. I see people doing that. You were allowed to do that with 10. Now you're allowed to do it with 5.
Do you assume we're going to get...
And you're allowed... Sorry.
I was just going to say, do you assume we're going to get real clarification from the announcements today on all of these points that you point out that are so very confusing?
Yes, apparently more clarification is coming today. And listen, if you want to be a devil's advocate and look at it from the other hand, there are a lot of moving parts. Cabinet met for hours over the weekend and Monday and also Tuesday morning. So a lot of things were shifting and a lot of decisions were being made. This is not easy, right? Because if you change one thing, you have to look at the implications down the road. You don't want to, for example, stop any transportation. You don't want to stop any food processing. You want to keep those things open so people can still eat and get their food to them. So you've got to be very careful about how you do this. But one thing, Mel, that they did not do and they deflected to the feds was paid sick days. And so there is a chorus of people calling for paid sick days, including Bonnie Crombie, Mayor Tory, Dr. Barbara Yaffe, the Associate Medical Officer of Health, even Edelstein Brown, who was leading the modeling yesterday. They all say you have to have supports for people, particularly those who are frontline workers who aren't making a lot of money, so that if they get sick or they have to quarantine for 14 days, they don't have to make that difficult situation of, do I feed my family or do I just go in and hope that I'm okay and it's just a little cold? You can't have that. People are saying these people need to be helped. We know these are where the cases are coming from.
Cyn, as always,
Or a large number.
some great insight here. Let's hope we get some answers to all of these questions that you have and that we all have. Appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
All right, D&D, did you get all of that? So it's yes, but no.
So
yes, but no.
basically,
We love Cynthia.
Yeah.
Whole lot of
Basically,
gray.
this emoji.
Yeah.
Yes.